It's time for another episode of the UNspecial Podcast. My name is Lemmy Sita. I'm the host today. And on this episode, we have our founder, Zack Ponder. Zack, thanks for being on your podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here. Always been a dream of mine.
Well, we're really excited to hear from you, man. We're just going to talk today a little bit about UNspecial and what it means. Could you just give us some background? Just give us some background on who you are first before we get into the UNspecial stuff.
Yeah, I'm a family guy, married, 4 kids. Taught special ed for 5 years. I was an aide for 2 years before that. And I just always loved being in the special class. Started as a sub, and I didn't really like the general ed classes. Too many attitudes and entitlement. What I appreciate about the specials is they just work with what they got.
Yeah,
and they're funny.
So tell us a little bit about what UNspecial means. What does it mean when you say UNspecial?
Well, the long short is the special ed community has such a bad rap, and nobody really knows what to do about it, and they're all very uncomfortable. So I would like to make it unspecial through UNspecial.
So you're not meaning it in a bad way, although like when I first think of it, when I first hear it, I think there's like special ed sounds derogatory. Special ed has all kinds of, meaning, connected to it. And when you're saying unspecial, you don't mean it in a negative way.
No, it's more of a positive way.
Yeah.
Trying to take the special out of the individual, because especially on campuses, there's only usually a couple of special ed classes.
Yeah.
And all the general ed students just, they don't know what to do.
Right.
So I would like to have it not be so special, because they're not that dissimilar from us.
Right.
They just have a little bit extra challenges, which makes them so awesome, because they're just working with what they got.
Yeah.
They're doing their thing.
Yeah.
They have no filter, which is hilarious.
I love that you think that they truly are awesome. How did it first come to mind? Like, how did all the concepts for UNspecial first come to mind?
Specifically came to mind when I was teaching at Pacific Trails Middle School in Carmel Valley.
Okay.
And I was sitting through an IEP meeting, and before the meeting, I asked one of the parents how she was doing, and she immediately started crying. And then it just hit me that we're going through a meeting about her child with all the specialists in the room, all the OT, the behavior specialist, psychologist, PT,
The whole team.
everyone's there, and it's all centered around her child. But then it hit me like there's nothing for her.
Right.
And obviously she was in a lot of pain,
Yeah.
doubt, worry, confused. And I just thought, there needs to be a space for these parents to be able to be in community together and go through life together through all these challenges.
So typically the IEP team has all of these members, all these team members from the school. Is the parent considered a part of the team?
They are, but they're not.
Okay, please tell me more about that. Like, so the team consists of the parent, but there's nothing for the parent to
I would say in my 5 years, probably 90% of the time in these meetings, it was all the specialists telling the parent what to do, and the parent never really had a voice to voice what they wanted to hear.
Right.
Or they could never share anything, because it had to be an hour and a half. Everyone had to go do their thing, and so there was never time to listen to the parent.
And so, and the parent is the one that knows the child the best.
They're the rock stars. I mean, they're the one with them at all times. We were with them 6 hours a day. We had it easy.
Yeah, so UNspecial really is taking a look at parents and trying to help out parents?
Exactly. So, essentially, UNspecial we're a space for parents of special needs to come and be heard, supported, inspired, and equipped.
Yeah.
And we're not here to tell you how to fix your child.
Right.
Present the latest therapies, because that's all they ever hear. We're simply here for them.
Yeah.
And I believe in community and doing life together, and I think all special ed parents should have that opportunity amongst themselves to be in life together. And so we're that space.
So you just shared a story about one particular mom. Did you have, as a special ed teacher, did you have any other interactions with parents?
Oh yeah, on a daily basis. I mean, emails when they drop them off, pick them up.
Yes, and they just need the support, and they just need to be heard.
And I would say majority of the conversations I had with parents was hardly ever about what was going on in class.
Oh,
It was just to talk to them about whatever.
and so UNspecial really kind of meets that need and sees the need for parents and community and just a place for them to be heard and inspired and supported.
Yeah, because I mean, these parents, they're crazy.
They got busy lives.
They got busy lives. They have the strongest voice out of all of us.
Yeah.
And they're not being heard. So I'd like to just have this space for them to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
And simply just sit down and hear their story from birth of their child
Yeah.
until present and everything in between.
All the emotions that come with having a special needs child, all the challenges that come. You and I were talking about this, but there are a lot of marriages that have a hard time because of a special needs child. Can you speak a little bit about that and just talk a little bit about the challenges there?
Yeah, man. Rarely would I meet the father. It was typically all the mother.
Oh, that's interesting.
And as many as I can think of, the dad wasn't in the picture. And marriage is hard as it is.
Right.
I mean, we're both married.
Yeah.
It's not a walk in the park.
No.
And then you throw a 24/7 child in there that needs constant support.
Right.
Like there's never time for the parents, and then it seems like they split.
Right.
And so I would like to call out a lot of the fathers.
Yeah.
And be a support for them as well.
Yeah, so UNspecial is really it's about the parents, but it's also about marriages and supporting dads and just to really create a space for them to find community.
Right. Because I would gather that a good percentage are going about this life alone.
Yeah.
In any space.
Right.
I mean, I'm a part of a personal development life coaching group.
Yeah.
And before that, I had friends and stuff, but it was never to the level where we could actually like get real and talk about hard things.
Yeah. And that's what you want to create with UNspecial, a community of parents supporting each other. Yeah. And not necessarily to fix something, because we don't even think that anything's broken. It's just normal.
It's just life. That's the thing too, is like everyone is teaching, and through the credentialing program and all the schooling, it's like we're taught to handle behaviors as a problem.
Yeah.
But I think like the second year in, I just had a pause where I was like, they're just trying to live life.
Right.
And we're taught to just throw the book at them.
Yeah.
And fix whatever problem we're currently dealing with, where it's like, it's really not that, it's not a problem.
Can you give us one example in the classroom? I know you have a couple that you wrote about in your book, but could you just share one example of a particular student and what their behaviors were like, and how you dealt with them, or how you interacted with them?
Yeah. One comes to mind when I was teaching up in Sandpoint, Idaho, and there was a guy named we'll say his name is Walter.
Okay, Walter.
Walter had a behavior of running out of class.
Okay.
So I was a new teacher. This was my first year. In the first day in class, I get there and he's sitting in the another room. So the way they dealt with his so-called behavior is they just put him in a room, and he was there all day.
Alone.
He was with a staff.
With an aide.
And they would just basically we're guarding the door so he didn't run away.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, well, let's put him in his chair.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, he's gonna run away. I'm like, cool. I'll chase him. I'll chase after him.
Yeah.
I'll catch him. And so we get him in his chair. He ran away like 10 times the first day.
Right.
And then we had like, it was a slow decrease in running away. And then we had like a 2-month stretch where he didn't run away once. Because he was communicating, he was bored. And he just wanted to be involved in the class.
Right.
And then the specialist came to town.
Yeah.
And whenever the specialist comes to town, you have to sit with her all day and go over all the behaviors of the kids. And she tries to explain how to fix them.
Right.
And at that point, all she saw was notes. So she knew nothing about the kid.
Right.
But we get in the meeting and she would tell me how to handle it. And I'm like, I don't know why we're even talking about this. He hasn't left his chair in 2 months.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that a lot of those behaviors are directed at just trying to fix. Whereas, you know, the specialist, the book teaches you this and that and all the interventions and behaviors. But that's all they talk about in the meetings with parents too.
Right.
So then on the parent side of things, all they hear is their life is a problem.
Right. And their kid is a problem. Yeah.
Where I would like to switch the mindset to like, they are very unique.
Yeah.
They're very interesting. The biggest thing is just get curious about them and not scared.
Right. And so you're saying if we're curious and if we're observant, we can see, you know, what the child's dealing with, and we can see, like, they're communicating to us that they're bored in Walter's case, right?
Right.
Whatever it is that they're going through, they can communicate that if we're curious.
If we're curious.
Yeah.
But it takes somebody wanting to be curious.
Right, but it takes a mindset, it takes a shift from this child is broken to no, this child's normal. Let's have the curiosity to figure out like what makes this child tick.
Right.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your hope for UNspecial. I mean, you've shared a little bit about community and parents, but what's the hope?
The hope is after that specialist came into the room.
Yeah.
I remember I sat with the staff and they knew I was frustrated. And I scratched on a sheet of paper my new vision. And it was titled as Street Sped, Make Your Child Feel Normal Again.
Yeah.
Because everything in that meeting told me that child wasn't normal.
Right.
So then I was telling the staff, like, we need to switch some mindsets and start to treat them all normal.
Yeah.
And not as a project. So Street Sped, I kind of have an unconventional way of going about special education. And most people liked it. Some parents didn't, but...
Right. But it worked.
It worked. It was great. But my hopes for UNspecial, my dream is for every parent to be honored, for their story to be shared and inspire other parents living and going through the same journey that they are.
Right.
I would love for parents to be in community with one another, doing life together. And hopefully this can all be, you know, we're going to accomplish this through an online community groups where all parents meet together, daily communication through Slack channels, group meetups.
Yeah.
We'll put groups of parents in smaller little cohorts.
Right.
So they can really get deep.
And support each other.
Yeah.
Inspire each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And then we're hoping to also get some parents to come on the podcast to share their stories. So if any of you have stories that you'd love to share, we'd love to hear from you.
That's going to be the most powerful segment of this.
Parents share their stories.
Parents sharing stories. And my goal is really not to talk much, just facilitate a conversation.
Yeah.
And then other parents are going to hear all the cool things that that specific parent is doing with their child and get ideas.
Yeah.
And then it'll all just start to flow.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how can somebody get a hold of you?
Instagram, UNspecial LLC, email, Zack at UNspecialLLC.com.
There you go. we'd love to hear from you. Thank you for being on the podcast. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. Yeah, I hope you guys have an unspecial day.
Stay tuned for some exciting stories coming your way.
All right. Thank you for coming on the podcast, Zach.
Peace.